Hello and welcome here to more TALKFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. After a very successful night indeed for Barca in the Champions League, it was a vital win. It was a win that we knew, however we could, we had to get it. And of course, that man right there, he delivered it with a stunning goal. We're going to be talking a lot more about that today. We're also going to be taking a look at some of our defensive players and indeed the way that we did manage to see out this game. There are also going to be some thoughts on Sergi Barjuan and what he did well. And of course, we're going to be discussing the electric return of Ousmane Dembele and the latest developments on his contract situation. It is all coming up with some good feelings. Let's do it. Because if we do indeed kick off with the man of the moment, it has to be Ansu Fati. When we were looking there for some inspiration, you just knew that if somebody was going to stand up tall and take on that chance, it was going to be that man. Because he's already done it so many times already in his young Barca career. This is a player who's taken on that number 10. He's enjoying the responsibility. And even just coming back from injury, he is still providing some unbelievable match-winning moments. And I want to talk about that finish yesterday, because as that cross came in from Lenglet, there's actually quite a big deflection on it. It changes the path of the ball. Ansu there has to set his body up perfectly to come on to that ball in, and it's just a wonderful finish, because the ball there, it's rising, and he has to hit that absolutely perfectly there, coming onto it with the right amount of pace, but also to keep that ball down. And the XG, the expected goals there, for that particular goal, it was 0.08. That is how good that finish was. And what a stunner. And I thought the reaction at the final whistle there with Ansu Fati, that celebration, that relief, banging the floor there, he was so happy we could get over the line and get this win. And of course, after the game, he dedicated the goal and indeed the win to Kun Agüero, who's going to be missed, of course, for the next 3 months, as we're all going to be hoping together that his treatment goes well, that he can regain their full health, and that he can 100% recover. All of our thoughts right now with Kun Agüero. Really nice to see the squad getting behind him like that. And I think it was also key what Ansu said after the game there about depending on ourselves. He said that's why we wanted to win this game. That's why we needed to win this game, so that going into Benfica at the Camp Nou, that is the game that will decide our Champions League fate. And we know now we control our destiny. We're not relying on someone else. We're not looking at different scenarios. Win that game, and we've done it. But of course, guys, what I think is also really important to point out is that not only did Ansu Fati's goal win the game yesterday and give us all of those 3 points, but it was also very important that we kept that clean sheet. In the end, it was the fact there that we didn't concede the first goal, that we didn't concede late on, that meant that we got over the line. And I do have to give some real credit here to Clement. I thought his defensive performance yesterday was really impressive. I think when you look at Lenglet last season, he was nowhere near the level that not only we would expect of him, but I think he would expect of himself. He was absolutely nowhere near it. Far too many errors, far too many goals directly given away from his mistakes. And now this season, he's hardly featured. Ronald Koeman there didn't want him anywhere near the team. He kept him on the sidelines, even with all the injuries, suspensions that we had. Lenglet has made just 3 starts all season. But could this now be a new lease of life? Could we see a player here who's now motivated? He knows that anymore he's not a guaranteed starter. I think that's absolutely the way that it should be. Every player here should be fighting for their place, and he's come back in here, back-to-back games now against Dynamo Kyiv, 2 clean sheets. Very impressive stuff. And like I say, yesterday, in his game, he was very assured, because what he did, he cut out the mistakes, the silly errors. We know that's not his game. We know that when he first arrived at Barca, he could be very solid. He could be commanding there at centre-back, and you've got to go back to being calculated in that way. He's good in the air, we know that. He's got a presence about him. I also really like the way that Lenglet brings the ball out of defence. He puts in some very good long passes, and as we saw yesterday as well, he can be a threat in the opponent's penalty box too, and that's what we want to see from Lenglet. And I think given our defensive struggles this season, the bar's not exactly high, is it? We've not got a load of world-class defenders here that are all tripping over each other. We need all the help we can get, and I think Lenglet, he can play a part, providing here that he stays at this level, that he stays very focused, because that's where you're going to have to be to win that place back. And if we're mentioning one centre-back, then it makes absolute sense to mention the other one, because obviously to get that clean sheet, to get over the line, to keep it tight at the back, you need a partnership there. I thought Eric Garcia was equally as good in yesterday's game. Another player that this season has had his struggles since returning to the club back in the summer. I think some of the criticism that he has received has gone a bit over the top. I think people have sometimes gone too far when it comes to Eric Garcia, because let's not forget here, he's still only 20 years old. For a centre-back there, for a defender, that is nothing. There is still so much to learn, so much to improve at that age. And I think even going into this game, it was really refreshing to me to actually hear Eric Garcia there, who is speaking in the pre-match press conference. He basically came out and said, look, I know I can do better. He said, I know there's been games this season where I could have been better and I can improve. I know that 100%. He said, I'm self-critical, and that's what he'll need to be. In order to make those improvements, it's natural that at 20 years old, you're going to have faults. It's inevitable that there's going to be things that you need to work on, but it's important to recognise that and then take it upon yourself to make those changes. And I thought yesterday, much like Lenglet, very solid. That's what we need right now from our defenders, and especially in his passing. You know that Eric Garcia is going to be so good on the ball, which is also going to be very helpful for when Xavi, of course, arrives. Nearly 96% pass accuracy yesterday from Eric Garcia, and I thought he defended well too. And there was one really crucial moment that I want to highlight here, because actually, I think it went quite under the radar. You can see it here. It's a clear block from Eric Garcia. He's sliding in. It was last ditch there. It looked like there was going to be a big chance for Dynamo Kyiv there to score a goal, but Eric Garcia gets back in. He makes a clear touch on that ball, but the reason I think it went under the radar is because actually it was such a slight touch, although such an important one, that the officials completely missed it. They actually gave here a goal kick from this move. So I think Eric Garcia there, that really big intervention did go under the radar, but it was a really key tackle, which is exactly the kind of defending that we need and have to see from Eric Garcia. But along with those players, along with all of those performances, there is somebody there that I have to highlight possibly even more, and I want to give big credit here to Sergi Barjuan, because I think coming into this game, it's massively high-pressured. Although he's only the caretaker, we all know that he's not going to be here too long at all. He knows that too, but at the same time, it doesn't take away how big this game was. He still knew here that we had to win. It was big pressure on him to get that result, and you've got to handle that in front of your players. You've got to be strong for your players, and I thought that's what he did. And I would especially look yesterday at his subs. I thought they were really key in the game, and it followed on from what we saw against Alaves, whereby he didn't panic. He didn't suddenly start changing everything and trying to drastically find a winning goal. He stayed patient. That passes through then to the players, and we just slowly grew and basically worked our way through Dynamo until we finally got that goal. The Dembele change I thought was a really positive one there, bringing off a midfielder, bringing on an attacker there, playing with three forwards. Maybe in other times we would have seen a forward for a forward, so that was a really positive change. And then he didn't really do much else. That was important there because the team got what we needed. We didn't need to drastically bring on this player and this player, use all five of our subs. I thought he was calculated, he was calm, and on a big night for Barca, that's what we needed. But of course, guys, make no mistake about it, one man whose performance yesterday really did excite me, really did get me optimistic and hopeful for what we can see from Ousmane Dembele. Because making his return yesterday, his very first match in such a long time, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I think he exceeded expectations. I really thought that he came on and played very well indeed. And that's the thing about Dembele, because you want him to succeed. Because we as fans here, yes, we can be frustrated by the injuries, we can be sick of waiting for him to come back, but every time he does, we're excited for that return, we're hopeful for that return, we always want him to succeed because there's no other player in the squad like him. He is a unique player there with unique qualities that we can certainly use. And I thought against Dynamo, coming on there for the final 25 minutes at 0-0 when he came on, and like I say, the whole dynamic of our attack changed. Suddenly their Dynamo didn't quite know how to pick him up, they didn't quite know whether to go and close him down, whether to drop off. There was an element of doubt, and that's important. What you need to inject into your opponents is that element of doubt, and that is what Dembele brings, because you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know whether he's going to go down the line, whether he's going to cut inside. He's good off both sides, and he offers so much there with that raw pace that he showed yesterday. And of course, because of those qualities, because of what he can do, we are all looking now at that contract renewal. Because come this summer, it is absolutely no secret that Ousmane Dembele will be a free agent if we do not renew his contract, and that is one of the club's absolute priorities right now. They do want to renew Dembele, and the latest reports right now, coming out of the Spanish media this morning, is that Dembele, he really does want to stay. He's told his agent that he wants to remain at Barca, he wants to sign that renewal, and he would be willing to reduce his salary in order to make that happen, which is something I feel that does need to happen. But what Dembele would like is variables included in that new contract. He'll reduce the salary, but maybe make it up there in variables and bonuses. And honestly, I think that would be a very, very good solution. Because for me, with a player like Dembele, that is the way that it should be. You want to there reduce the base salary, you want to reduce the amount that you give him every single week, but if you put performance bonuses in there and he goes and meets them, well, he's earned it. At the end of the day, that is what we want him to do. If you put things in there that give him incentives to go out there and perform and be on the pitch and give his absolute best, that is a much, much better way of distributing that wage than just giving it all to him straight away in that base salary. So for me, if we can renew Dembele there with a reduction, have variables in that deal, we will all be striving to see him make this kind of impact. But of course, number one, you need him to stay fit, and number two, we would love to see him renew that deal. So that there, guys, is some further reaction from yesterday's vital victory. And of course, there's plenty of players as well that I haven't mentioned, you know, in this game. The likes of Sergio Busquets, who played really, really well in midfield, I thought. And the players around him too. The likes of Nico Gonzalez. I think Frankie de Jong was quite fit in this game. But I thought every single player, they gave it their all. You couldn't really look at any player on the pitch yesterday and think, you know what, they could have given more. I think everybody, it was a real team effort, a real team win. And I'm so happy that we were able to get that victory. Please do let me know what your thoughts on the performance are in terms of the collective spirit and indeed the individual displays too. Who stood out for you and who are you looking forward to seeing in the coming games? And most likely, under the stewardship of Xavi Hernandez. I will see you soon, of course, guys, with plenty more videos to come whenever that news is gonna break. Thank you indeed for watching, but until next time, as always, Visca El Barça!